Alright, folks, this is episode number 51 from the P Alpha Music Podcast. This is Pablo J. Ruiz. Yo, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to the P Alpha Music Podcast. Remember, you can share our content on Facebook and due to all the great platforms around the internet. Not only that, make sure you listen to the podcast on Google Radio, iHeartRadio, Apple Radio, any of your favorite music or podcast distribution in the web. Also, make sure that you read the articles in the description if you want to just take a look at what is inside the article with details. So today's episode, we're gonna go right into it because this one's a little bit long. Is depression in musicians common? This is very interesting. I did a little bit of research in the web, and I found very good details about this and very interesting facts. So we're gonna go deep into it right now. All right. Is depression in musicians common? All right. Remember, you can go to the description down below, and the article is written, and you can just follow with me, or you just want to tune in with audio, that's fine as well. Okay, so I cannot believe some of the high statistics I recently read in regards to musicians who suffer from depression. When I go back to my early career in Puerto Rico, or even some of my friends who are artists, this is a common trend. Depression is always at the top of the list, as well as anxiety. According to a survey on music and mental health by the Health Musician UK, 2,000 musicians who were interviewed, 71% experienced anxiety and 68% deal with depression. That means that 10 musicians from 10 musician friends you have, around 7 suffering from depression or any type of mental illness in their present state. When I was studying in Wyoming, I remember spending a lot of time in solitude, hours and hours just trying to make a better understanding of what was going on in my head as they pass on. I did procrastinate my time with significance, but also spent a lot of time in piano rooms. As a classical pianist, socializing or making conversations with musician friends was rare, only for the simple fact that practice sessions were of great importance. Do not get me wrong. I did hang out and meet people around, but not as I wanted. During this time, in early 2014, I began listening to motivational material religiously. My confidence increased, and my frame was spot on, even with my flaws or mistakes during those present times. I was working out every day and every night continuously, with no excuses. Great discipline and motivation got me through the years, even though the syllabus of my academic year was one of the biggest challenges I was facing during that time. With all this going on, I was happy and centered in my own little world, working on personal development as a musician and individual. I started to see all these people's energy and feel their positivity and negativity. Now, this is when everything started to click, while pianists and other musicians were depressed or suffered other mental disorders. Musicians with great talent and bright future were anxious and depressed, still playing their instrument with great mastery, accuracy, and still bowing down after each last chord of an end of a piece with a sorry for being good body language. I noticed that and felt like I do not want to be part of such thing. I count on my fingers with who I surround myself within the musical community, and a lot of the musicians have problems with drugs, attitudes, mental discipline, and alcoholism. Even famous artists and musicians such as Ludwig van Beethoven, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Robert Schumann, Tchaikovsky, Sergei Rachmaninoff, Orlando de Lassos, Carlo Gesualdo, John Dolan, Hector Berlioz, Glinka, Bruckner, Anton Arensky, Uwe Wolf, and Charles Ives suffered from depression and they were famous. You can read more in this link. Is depression in musicians common? Yes, it is. I'm very clear in my experience. As well, I speak from my own personal experience, folks. I handle a lot of my own demons through the years and managed to conquer a lot of them. I am only mentioning classical musicians since that is my forte. But this is everywhere. I want to share some key insight to my fellow brothers and musical comrades. Do not search for fame or acceptance from losers. Look for success. Be a legacy and a mark that can be remembered forever. I'm not saying as a teacher, but more so a model. Create and give back more to those that can learn from you. Make your music more than just a jukebox or audio on your YouTube channel. Fame is a trap that only leads to one place: depression. Okay. So, when I started writing that blog or article, I noticed that I had a flashback back to years. And interesting enough, there was a lot of people with very, very, very low energy, a very low impulse for positivity, and they were very into themselves. No, interesting enough, a lot of victimology. But of course, being a naive person, I didn't notice a lot of these things during that time. And I want to make a disclaimer. I'm not saying these things to be better than being better than the whatever who is listening to this. No, I'm not making this to do such thing. It's been a trend that a lot of musicians are killing themselves, or they're depressed, or even they're not happy, they're not married. I met a lot of musicians, well respected musicians. They're 45, they're still unhappy, they don't have a family, they don't know where they're shooting, they're still practicing. Listen, I practice my piano as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's something you have to call life. You need some purpose. And interesting enough, they were looking for something, which is the fame, the recognition. Am I playing good? Am I playing bad? Remember this? Remember one of the pianists when I was studying in Wyoming. She was a great pianist, Chinese. And I remember her. She was playing Prokofiev, one of his sonatas. She played beautifully. I mean, almost perfectly. I was amazed by her skill to play piano. Which, as a pianist, when you get used to people playing good, it's hardly difficult for you to get impressed by other musicians, because of course you're in the same road. You know, you want to play perfect. You want to, but there's a moment when you say, okay, this pianist, this is one of the few that I can see. Okay, I'm amazed with it. So this pianist, she played well, and I remember this last reaction when she played the last chord of that song. So if it ended like on a triple forte. And when you end in a piece that is high intensity, you should just keep the momentum, even though the music's end. So as soon as she end that piece, she cried. She transformed herself like a little ball and just dropped her hands. And I'm like, why she's doing that? Why she's not carrying the energy, like shaking the energy to the air, like a lot of pianists do. And I noticed that she was not content with her skills. Well, of course, that can lead to depression. I always remember when another person, when I was in Milwaukee, she would just cry every time that she performed. She would start crying. People just, um, wishing bad things to other people. Unhappy. Practicing 10 to 12 hours in the instruments. Which I did that. Don't get me wrong, I did that too. You know? And there was some results, don't get me wrong. But at the end, I stepped back and I knew there was a lot of things more important than spending 10 to 12 hours in the instrument. Which it was, the business aspect, the things that really make you go beyond those obstacles. But going back to the story, I noticed a lot of these things were very common. The drug abuses, the gossips, the people not being happy. I thought that the people that only kill themselves, jazz players or pop musicians and salsa, whatever. But no, classical musicians do the same thing. Great musicians. Some of them just hang themselves. There was a documentary in Netflix, I don't remember right now, about, I think it's on YouTube, about this pianist that's having 80 to 100 concerts a year. And he's unhappy. He's playing with orchestra. He's playing with a lot of well-known orchestra, but he's still unhappy. He wants to be with a girl, but he can't. Now, why is this? This is where I arrived on my own conclusion. And just take this as a piece, with a grain of salt. They're looking for the fame. The trap of the fame. Looking for the trap of the fame. The trap of the fame, that it will give you short gratitude, of course, but it will never fulfill the long gratitudes. But you're not building. Fame is not equal to build. Yeah, when you build, you have a legacy, right? You have a legacy of record, of who you're becoming. Fame is just something that can go out in an hour and disappear in the next hour. And they're looking for that approval, for the teacher, the friends, audiences, more teachers, promoters, managers. And it's all about approval, looking for approval. Looking yourself down like a little small mouse. So your self-esteem goes down. And then it's hard for you to just overcome that tunnel. Because you're already trapped. You constructed that scenario based on decisions. Right? Decisions that it was even hard to even take control, because your own will was already taken. From the first moment, you just gave the power of making your own decision for yourself. You had no will. You had to practice your hours. You have to make sure you make your teacher, happy. But your teacher is not happy. Now, but you're still playing concerts. And now you have to make the conductor happy. And now you make the audience happy. You have to make everyone happy, but not you. You cannot make yourself happy. Or even though, for those that know about the fame of the trap of the sex, drug, and rock and roll kind of saying, that stuff is real. These people will still hang themselves, even having every woman, money, and everything. They will still hang themselves. They will still kill themselves. Horowitz stopped playing piano for 12 years. This is a famous pianist in the gold era. He stopped playing the piano for 12 years. Why? You cannot become yourself a jukebox. You can't. I don't see no happiness playing 80 to 200 concerts a year. People do sometimes. There's no happiness there. You're not building anything. You're just being used as a jukebox. You have to be careful with those things. That's not smart. You will burn yourself. Lang Lang, he just got injured. Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he got injured. Folks, we have to be careful with these things. We have to be very smart. Have you met I mean, I can just go on and on and on and never end here, really. When you start, when you start separating things, right, to organize your mind and have some sort of, let's say, structure, you notice that a lot of things were done wrong, and they were not done wrong because you decided to do it wrong. No, because that was your reality in that moment. It didn't make sense for me to be in Wyoming and have 15 pianists playing good, It didn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense that I need to play better for what? But what the I mean, what the hell all the pianists are doing? What? There's no direction here. I know some pianists that they went to the other side. They said, I figure out the code to make my thing a legacy and make some money with this stuff. And not only money, but some recurring money, which is great. But these people are completely red pill. Not even have fame. They only have their own little thing, and they know how to do it. They do it quietly. For them, it makes sense. Very touchy feeling topic, but it's important that we talk about these things because it's very common. Music is the art of a culture, right? It's the heart of the culture. It's a well expressed, It's a well expressed. It's one of the most important arts. At the same time, it's a trap. It's a trap. Is depression in musicians common? Yeah, it is. I would suggest to really reevaluate your position on where you are today when it comes your state as a musician, your emotional state. Look for those that you're surrounded with, are they happy? And they're not happy. Are they putting you down? Or they're making you a better person? Check for those things. So this is episode 51 from the P Alpha Music Podcast. Is depression musician coming? Already, I know my mind. I know the answer, which is yes. You can have your own. Yeah. So make sure you do it with a conscious, clear conscious. Remember to listen to the podcast on the P Alpha Music Anchor.fm, Google Radio, Apple Radio, you name it. Mostly all the platforms regarding distribution. Make sure you like and share our content. We're gonna really, really appreciate it.